you. And joining me now is Reverend Raphael Warnock. He's a senior pastor at Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta. He's also a candidate for a U.S. Senate seat in the state of Georgia. I want to give you the same opportunity, Reverend Warnock, to reflect on John Lewis and C.T. Vivian's lives and how you think that they reflect into this present moment.
Thank you so much, Joy. It's good to be here with you, even on such a sad occasion. You know, as you were talking to Ambassador Young and then Diane Nash, I was thinking about how fortunate we are, especially here in Atlanta. Atlanta is a city where we walk among giants, pass by them every day. And so our hearts are hurting this morning. We're broken as we consider and take stock of the lives of John Lewis and C.T. Vivian, giants who literally walked among us. But at the same time, I feel incredibly blessed that we had the opportunity and the experience of brushing up against greatness. And in a moment like this, even as we weep, we are inspired and encouraged to fight the good fight. Sometimes I would talk to C.T. Vivian, and he would speak about facing death, and he was laughing as he told the story about his confrontations with death. And John Lewis, a man who endured police brutality on a bridge in order to win for us the right to vote. And all of these years later, we're fighting against police brutality and fighting to maintain the power of our democracy through the right to vote. So we honor them by continuing that work. It is as urgent as ever.
And what do you make of, I'll ask you the same question that I asked Ms. Nash. You know, you have people like Mitch McConnell who are putting out very lovely statements written probably by staff about John Lewis, lots of encomiums coming from both sides of the aisle. But, you know, you are aspiring to head to the United States Senate. If Mitch McConnell is still majority leader, or even if he's minority leader, he's been blocking the restoration of the Voting Rights Act, which was gutted by a conservative majority on the Supreme Court. This was the very thing that John Lewis left his blood on that bridge for. What do you make of the fact that people are putting out statements lauding this man while they are also continuing to fight against voting rights?
Yeah, that's right. And I'm running for the United States Senate, and even as I run, I'm inspired by the conscience of the John Lewis and so many others like him. I think about Elijah Cummings, whom I also knew. I have to tell you, as pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church, the spiritual home of Martin Luther King Jr., I've seen this year after year, time and time again. Every year during Dr. King's holiday, people stand up and offer pious platitudes to his memory. They try to remember him and dismember him at the same time. You cannot honor John Lewis while at the same time standing in the way of voting rights. This was what his life was all about. And so I know that there are folk who are talking about renaming the bridge, and we ought to do that. He definitely deserves it. But I want us to think about how John Lewis would consider the issue. For him, it was never about him. It was about the cause. And so we would make a mistake if we renamed the bridge but didn't do the things we need to do to protect voting rights. We ought to strengthen the Voting Rights Act and reauthorize it. This used to be a bipartisan issue. And sadly, John Lewis, the patron saint of voting rights, hailed from a state that is ground zero for voter suppression. And so we've got to push against that in the coming months. We've got to fight for the integrity of our democracy with the strength and vigor and commitment that he brought to the fight. That's the best way for us to honor John Lewis.
And before I end with you, do you have any messages for the governor of your state, Brian Kemp, who, as you said, got into office through what many believe was extensive voter suppression and the denial of voting rights, and now has won high office and is using it to sue mayors, including the mayor of Atlanta, to try to stop them from protecting people from COVID-19 when COVID-19 is disproportionately killing Black people? Do you have a message for him? Because I'm sure he will also put out a lovely statement about John Lewis at some point. Anything that you'd want him to add and want him to think about as his staff is composing that statement?
Brian Kemp needs to be reminded that there's some things bigger than politics. And he's playing an ugly and nasty, cynical game of politics. The mayor of Atlanta, Keisha Lance Bottoms, is the duly elected leader of the city. She's doing the best she can to protect her citizens. And he's literally standing, if you will, in the courthouse door, trying to prevent this from happening. You cannot honor John Lewis and dishonor his memory at the same time. African Americans are disproportionately impacted by this virus. And so we've got to stand up in a moment like this. And the Congress that will be celebrating John Lewis needs to pass the HEROES Act so that Americans do not have to choose between saving their vote and saving their lives. That is unconscionable. And so this is an inflection point for our country. We have a decision to make about the direction that we want to go in. And I hear John Lewis and I see C.T. Vivian and so many others, Fannie Lou Hamer, black woman out of the Mississippi Democratic Party who stood up saying, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I see them ushering us on to fight the good fight so that our country might live up to its highest ideals.
Reverend Raphael Warnock, good luck in your campaign, sir. Thank you so much for taking some time this morning.
God bless you. Congratulations on your new show.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. I'm sure that your sermon tomorrow is going to be everything, so wish we could all hear it.